Let's review double object pronouns, but first let's review direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns. The direct object pronoun answers the what of the verb. So once you find your verb, you ask yourself what, and that'll direct you to your direct object if the direct object exists in the sentence. In the following sentence, Juan preparó el bistec. Our verb is preparó. Juan preparó ¿qué? What? El bistec. So el bistec is our direct object. When we want to replace that direct object with a pronoun to avoid redundancy, then we see that el bistec is singular, masculine, so we are going to use lo as its replacement. So if I wanted to instead say Juan prepared it, instead of Juan prepared el bistec, I would say Juan lo preparó. Remember, direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns go before a conjugated verb, or they can go attached to a verb if it's in the infinitive, if it's in the participle form, or if it is an affirmative command. So now your indirect objects. The indirect objects answer to whom or for whom of the verb. Now, in Spanish, we must have an indirect object pronoun every time there is an indirect object. So in the sentence you see in front of you, we are seeing that this is a grammatically incorrect sentence. The sentence says, Sara dio las verduras a Alberto. So ask yourself, she gave what? Las verduras. That's a direct object. To whom or for whom? A Alberto. So Alberto is our indirect object. Because we have an indirect object, we must have an indirect object pronoun. So in order to make this sentence grammatically correct, we need to add le, and now we have a grammatically correct sentence. Sara le dio las verduras a Alberto. So that's the direct object, and then that's the indirect object. Now, let's work on sentences where we will use a double object pronoun. Using the same sentence that we're working with, let's now imagine, instead of saying Sara gave the vegetables to Alberto, let's now imagine we want to express Sara gave them to Alberto. So that means that now we're using a direct object pronoun and an indirect object pronoun. And that's going to create a different situation for us. When we have double object pronouns, and we have a version of le or les combined with lo, la, los, las, le and les actually become se. Again, only when we combine one of these le or les with lo, la, los, las. So, in the sentence that we were working with, again, we want to state Sara gave them to Alberto. We would say Sara se las dio a Alberto. And let's see where we came up with these double object pronouns. Las is going to be las verduras. It is feminine and plural, so that's why we have las. Se refers to Alberto, even though it would have been le, because we are combining with one of the lo, la, los, las, le becomes se. So let's work with another example. Let's imagine we want to say Miguel takes the books to Peter. Miguel lleva los libros a Peter. Now we know that this is a grammatically incorrect sentence because it's missing its indirect object pronoun. So to make this a sound sentence, we will say Miguel le lleva los libros a Peter. Now what if we want to say Miguel takes them to Peter? Then we would have to say Miguel se los lleva a Peter. Los, because it's referencing los libros. Se, because it's referencing a Peter. Because we included from the le, les, combined with lo, la, los, las, that is why we had to use se. Now remember, when we have an indirect object, it becomes optional whether or not you want to include it. I could easily say Miguel se los lleva. And if I know that I'm talking about Peter, then I know that the reference is Peter. If I don't know that the reference is Peter, then I might want to include a Peter. I hope this helps as you're working through double object pronouns.